Didn't I tell you?
You did.
Yeah.
She did warn me.
You who? All right. Go for it.
Okay. It is 5:36 p.m. and I'm calling this meeting of, or this, excuse me, it's 5:36 p.m. on January, I can't talk. We're gonna restart. 5:36 p.m. on February 8th, 2023, and I'm calling this meeting of the Downtown Streetscapes Project Public Art Ad Hoc Committee to order. We will start with a roll call. You do that? Do I do that?
You can do that.
Okay. Christopher McMorrin, present. Ruth Kazi,
Here.
Sally Duell, absent. Jen Edwards, Shar Fagerston, absent. Nancy Froelich.
Here.
Wonderful. Janelle LaJoy, absent, and Peggy Yoder is absent. She let us know ahead of time. And then also Chelsea Starner. And do you want to introduce yourself?
Marcia Gilson.
Wonderful. There you go. Our special guest of honor for this evening. So since we don't fully have a quorum, we might hold off on making any final decisions tonight just to be safe, but we can still discuss. And the one thing we wanted to talk about that we forgot to put on the agenda was both since it's a new year and also since I was elected to the city council, we wanted to have a discussion about who should be chair of the committee. Chelsea has said there's no technical rule against a city councilor being the chair of the committee, but I also don't want to impose or, you know, since the job of this committee is to advise the city council. So I don't know if folks have thoughts on that. If there is anyone that's really chomping at the bit to be chair, that's great. If not, I'm happy to stay on if folks are okay with it, but I wanted to open it up to other nominations or thoughts.
And we can also revisit it.
Right. I think we probably should,
Yeah.
hopefully if there's more people here, but I don't know if there are any thoughts right now, or we can just talk about it later.
I just wanted to suggest that you continue as chair. I think you're a very effective chair.
Well, thank you.
But we can discuss further whether.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I support you being chair
Okay,
again. It's
well-
been great. But of course, if anyone else is interested.
Yes. Yeah.
Not me.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Any thoughts, or should we?
You're great.
Well, thanks. Now I feel like I'm just fishing for compliments. Everybody, so keep telling me how great I am. Okay, cool. Then we'll just follow up when we have
For now, and
a
then we'll
quorum,
follow
just
up
to,
again.
yeah. Okay, awesome. So then the only actual business, which I think we'll table then, since we don't fully have a quorum, is adopting our minutes from our last meeting, which was all the way back in August. So as long as everyone's fine with us just waiting until our next meeting to officially adopt those, then we'll move on to our discussion of the holiday decor for our downtown light poles. And I guess, Chelsea, do you want to kind of introduce the issue at hand?
Yes. So we are joined this evening by Marcia Gilson, who's been trained to spearhead production of the lighted holiday decorations that go on the light poles downtown. Marcia, you've been talking about, I think you said 2017 is when you had that last meeting. Probably about right. Yeah, so the discussion's been going on for several years. COVID, I'm sure, got in the way of that. And so there was some brainstorming that happened already, but it was pre this project, pre the design decisions that were made for downtown. And so when Marcia mentioned to the city that she was going to try to look at doing some fundraising, but needed some direction, I thought this would be a good committee to come to because you're so invested in what's going on in the downtown area with all the work you've been doing. And so Marcia's come here to get some feedback to just kind of start getting some momentum on it. We're not necessarily looking for, we want this one. And we might have to have a follow-up meeting where we could maybe make more of a recommendation for that. But we wanted to bring up the topic, generally look at the areas, talk about the cost a little bit, and just get some feedback on a couple things that were mentioned in the memo, like what direction do we see going, pros and cons. So Marcia, if you want to talk about your side of it and what you know and are looking for to add to that, take the floor.
No problem. So my background, I do not live in the city, so I'm not a taxpayer here, but I did own the building where Dirt Road is now. So I had the wine vault. I bought that building in 2004 and sold it in 2019 to Chuck. And during that time, I was part of the Philomath Downtown Association. I came up with the ideas and spearheaded the directional signage we have in town. I've watered more flower baskets than some of you have eaten tacos or whatever.
That's a pretty high.
I have done that for I'm so glad there wasn't flower baskets. I've done it every year. So anyway, and then I've also, once you get on one of Dale Collins's lists, it's really hard to get off. So I'm one of the ones that's been called to come down and help go through the Christmas lights that we've put up in the downtown area. They're very, they were made quite a long time ago, I think by a Bevins. I could be wrong on exactly who made them, but many people in town feel they are historical and needed to be used. But to me, when I've driven through town and they're lit, I couldn't always tell what they were. Like the poinsettia was sort of green and red, whatever it was. And there was a few of those that just didn't bring Christmas joy to me. And I like Christmas. I was on the chamber board over multiple terms, probably 14 years. So part of the Christmas tree stuff too. So I have ownership in all of this. And I raised my hand, opened my mouth and said I would be happy to try to update our Christmas decorations. Not everybody that was helping do that was in agreement because of the historical value of these wonderful fixtures we have, which Chelsea and I found out there's probably about 35 of them and only 10 or 12 work.
Okay.
And they're heavy.
Okay.
They're stored at Public Works. And every year we would go through, test the lights, replace them with little runs down to Mary's Peak Tree Valley, get more little twinkly lights, and then Pioneer Telephone has put them up for us. With the streetscape going in and stuff, it seemed like the appropriate time to try to get it going, maybe build enthusiasm. People want to see something new, something recognizable. And so my name still kept coming to the surface as somebody that would work on this, and I'm still willing to work on it and try to raise funds. And but we have to decide how many. When you look at the red dots are our new light posts, right?
Mm-hmm. Generally,
We are not suggesting this many decorations. Santa Claus would see us from the doorstep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Chelsea and I were kind of brainstorming the other day, maybe like 4 per block or something. And before, when we put them up, they were just on the one side.
Right.
What is that, the north side of Main Street? And I think we could maybe, and they start about 14 and go. We even had some up at the fire station. Sometimes they'd work, sometimes they didn't. They were on the old reader board that used to be there. So it was suggested coming here would be a good idea. We did some brainstorming the other day and said, you guys, the city's chosen to go kind of with a timber theme. Why not try to continue with the timber theme? But if we, in my thoughts were, if we did entirely all just green Christmas trees, it would probably look kind of boring, even though like when you drive through Corvallis and they have snowflakes,
Right,
to me, all snowflakes doesn't look boring.
right.
But I think we're fluent, we can do what we want, right? Sort of.
So there.
And so, that's why we're coming to you with to try to get suggestions on what you think. Everybody has this, right?
Mhm.
So the Christmas lights are gonna be on the street side.
Or
Oh,
the,
the light poles, yeah, they'll come out
Over the
over
street.
the street, and you have a drawing of the light pole.
And the light pole, I think, is 18 feet tall. I think I was like, yes. And what we'd have to worry about, is vehicles and everything. Some of the Christmas decorations that are out there are 8-10 feet long. We don't need
Oh, wow.
anything that big.
oh my gosh.
Somewhere around a 4 to 5 foot range would probably look good on a post and be visible. And so opening up to your guys' ideas, suggestions. Do you want it to look good during the day as well as at night? And there would probably, the Christmas lights would probably be up the month of December. They try to light the tree, actually, I think right before the 1st of December, somewhere in there. And it's kind of nice to have that whole feel and effect. To me, I like Christmas, so that's where I will throw out ideas to start and see what you guys think.
Chelsea.
I'll add a little bit to
Yeah.
that. I did talk to Chris Workman earlier. About, and Marcia and I talked a little bit about this too, about cost. So, if we had 4 per block, just between like 14th and 11th Street. That's gonna be. Let's see, or the cost for those being, Marcia's looked, some of them on sale or $300-400, but I would say if we're gonna be. Give ourselves the most options, we would say they'd be up to like $800. That's if we can get them on sale. So just thinking of the overall cost, you do think about like per block, if you have 4 of those and they're $800,
Mhm.
they're not cheap. So it may not be feasible to say, let's look at this and say, let's do 4 per block, the whole thing, that's gonna be too much. And so one of the thoughts is to focus it a little more on the downtown core where more of the project is going to be, and then even phase it. Marcia and I talked about like phased fundraising or phased budgeting, where it's like, we come up with enough to do this area, and then the next phase will be going down 2 more blocks down the street and then kind of work your way up. So that's a possibility. So some feedback we'd like to get is just, how many do you think is enough to not have it look like there's not enough currently, with the few that have been lighted. When you drive downtown, you're seeing like, it's very erratic, right? I mean, even just where they were located, like the one at the fire department, the way that the lights were and where they were, there was a big gap between getting to them. So there's a financial aspect to it. Chris and I talked about potential like funding options or grant funds that might be able to be used towards something like this. And certainly if the city council thought it was a good idea, we could explore some of those funds to kind of match, because fundraising is great. And I think Marcia, if anyone can get people to donate for this, it'll be Marcia. But there are lots of things to donate for, and this isn't the only thing. So that's just a consideration. While it would be amazing to say, let's do 4 per block, this whole entire map and the side streets, and just light everything up and make it, that might not be a reality, at least to start. And the other side of that is if they discontinued something, that could be an issue. Most of these, if you looked at the link style, you will see that a lot of them have similar styles. So, that might be a possibility, but Yeah, we're,
Did you have something?
The concept, the ones that go across the street.
yeah,
So
we
that-
can't do
can't
that
do that,
because
okay.
it's a ODOT highway.
Oh.
And so currently, we don't have jurisdiction to hang things across their street.
But we
It's
could
in-
do it on side streets.
We might be able to do it on side streets.
Yeah, it's just that whole downtown dramatic thing when you can drive through.
Right.
is so much more
Right.
dramatic.
Yeah, it is, and you know,
Can we,
something like that, when,
Ask really nicely.
yeah, maybe we can just ask next, ODOT does often.
Well, I was just thinking, because I remember talking about that, but like Pioneer and like Pacific Power and stuff hang things over. So like,
Yes, it's just, it can be,
okay. no,
it can be
so-
very
right,
difficult. I'll say
more
that
than it's worth.
I used to do banners in a small community that had
Gotcha.
county,
Gotcha.
city, ODOT. It's a very complicated thing. Wouldn't
We
think
just
it's
can't
as
beg
complicated.
forgiveness.
Maybe. We can look at that as an option, you know, to see, and I have heard that might be changing a little bit with the project, that there's something about jurisdictional hanging over the highway capabilities that might be coming. So that might be a possibility down the road.
I just didn't know what the cost might be. It might be slightly more expensive, but because it's spanning both, so it actually is almost the same as two.
Sure, those
So-
are quite expensive to go over.
Okay.
Those, I mean, if you think about it in proportion of like a 4 foot tall decoration is $500-600.
Versus like, yeah.
Yeah, so I do know that they can get quite costly, but if you had one, like if it were coming
On
into
each
town or
end,
something,
yeah,
maybe,
like 4 of them, one on each
right,
end of
if
it.
that were a possibility.
entrance and exit.
Oh, sorry. did you-
When you say 4 per block, do you mean 4 on each side or 4 on?
Like 2
Four
on
total.
each side, 4
Okay.
total, like per block. With, you will notice full disclaimer, this map was made by me.
It's
But
beautiful.
yeah, but I made it off of our actual plans, so if you look through these, this looks really chaotic because the dots are big. But the reality is the lights are not all, they're not all even. We couldn't do, there's an immense cost if you. It could cost millions of dollars in moving lines to try, because you have to move like water lines and sewer lines and power lines to get the downtowns where the lights are all, in a row. So there is some of that when we do decide where they should be exactly, that's probably gonna be a really, let's walk down there, like Public Works is walking down there to look at feasibility or Pioneer, if they're still going to be able to help us. We're gonna have to look at that on a block to block basis. So we just really are trying to get a general idea of what, funding wise, does it seem crazy to go for 4 per block?
Right.
I don't know.
I looked at the links you sent, and then I looked at other small towns, like tried to find photo examples.
Sure.
It's hard,
Yeah.
because it's from rando people, but I looked in Sisters and Leavenworth and Bend and then Portland and Seattle, just to see like
Small towns.
and also, well, how big cities do
Yeah,
it too. And what has the most impact is density, when it's like an abundance and you just
Right.
feel like overwhelmed with
Right.
Like you're
Christmas.
sort of walking through a lit
Right.
street.
Right.
Yeah, like, I mean, Seattle, I was up there during the holidays this past year and they wrapped every single
Right.
tree, and they have mature trees downtown.
Sure.
So it like has such an impact. And then they had the lights that crossed the street
Mhm.
and, they had like giant presents. Everything was like just abundant.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I guess my vote would be concentrated
Mhm.
if possible. I mean, I hate to leave out
Right.
streets and businesses, but like as a citizen walking through the street, like the abundance has more impact than sparse
Mhm.
decorations. And then the other thing that I think is really interesting, if you have a lot of businesses that are also participating in holiday decor,
Mhm.
having like a theme with the color of lights that Philomath is presenting.
Sure.
So a lot of places just choose white.
Right.
And
right.
so I did like the snowflake
Right.
examples, but I didn't realize that Corvallis
Corvallis
does that,
has
so
that.
that probably is out, but.
We gotta be.
There's
back.
some star examples.
Yeah, but like if everything is white and then the businesses have their red and green and
Sure.
different colors, then I don't know, it has like a theme to
Mhm.
some
Yeah,
degree.
yeah.
And maybe we don't choose a theme of images, like it isn't all snowflakes, but they're all red or they're all green or something. So if we have to add down the road, it doesn't matter that,
Mhm.
I don't know.
I guess. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, I'm so sorry. I guess for some reason, the wreaths stand out to me. Just because it's sort of what you're talking about too, of like,
During the day.
right, because
Yeah.
you know, like those light up things, like if you can't tell what they are at night, you definitely can't tell what they are during the day. It's like a bunch of poles and
Yeah.
like lights on a pole, and you're like, I don't know what that is, but at night it looks pretty. Whereas the wreaths look especially pretty during the day, and then at night you can still tell what they are, and they're still pretty, and it's usually just white lights, so it's like we sort of check the white light box without just, but also there's a little more pizzazz to it.
I mean, could the poles be wrapped with
I think,
lights?
well, they're not wrapped with lights, but
They
haven't
used
you
to be
said
wrapped
that-
with a garland or a. That's a garland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would go down.
Or ribbon or something.
Could they be
Maybe
wrapped with
ribbon
lights though?
from
Like,
the
do we?
Wreaths could extend
Yeah, the ribbon from
to
the.
the pole in some way.
I
Oh,
don't
I see.
know the answer to that. Again, usually there's I don't know who ends up claiming the ownership on this. So most
Oh.
power companies, if they are full ownership, you have to fill out you have to get a permit to do whatever you're gonna do to it. So we would have to get a permit, which doesn't mean you can't do it. We probably have to get a
Are we
permit just to
paying for
plug in
all
our, what's that?
Are we paying for all of these?
Yes, it just depends on how the contracts and agreements are, so.
So.
It's just hard to say, because sometimes if you're plugging into a power source
Right,
that
right.
they're
sure.
managing,
Mm.
it's really weird. But it doesn't mean you can't, it would just mean that
Yeah.
it might fall within some of their guidelines, but we've been wrapping them. We may not have been filling out a permit, so full disclaimer. Again, I am not familiar with the exact process here. I just have been through processes with other places.
Right,
so
okay.
It kind of just depends on that.
I just had one more question.
Yes.
And as far as like wrapping, do you have to worry about folks like meddling with the base of whatever is that a concern? Like the ones that we have now are up high, right? Like, is it an issue if the decoration goes all the way to the ground?
I suppose it could be an issue. I don't know that we've had an issue. And like Marcia, they probably went,
They went halfway down. They
Halfway,
were, they
okay.
were grabbable.
Yeah,
And I honestly can't tell you, Dale Collins walks the streets every day. So he would be checking on them and, he wouldn't call the committee out to come
probably
fix
fix
it.
it.
Yeah, he would probably take care of it, but, so I don't know on that one.
okay. I was just wondering if that's another moving part to consider if,
Right.
I mean, it's sort of like the ODOT sign that's turned backwards, that just keeps getting all the graffiti on it, right? It seems like that keeps it increasing. There's certain things that are an attractant to people.
Mhm.
And I would say our community dynamics changes periodically.
Mhm.
It's
So,
hard to tell.
I forgot to say, I volunteer at the police department too. What I didn't ask you, Chelsea, is every pole that we're putting in like this going to have a plug?
I don't, probably not. We're probably going to have to at some point say, these are the ones that will have
Okay.
plugs. I don't know the answer to that fully. I do know that we had to make decisions about which are gonna have a plug, which are gonna have like a flower basket hanger. So this isn't the only thing, by the way. There's flower baskets,
Yeah.
there's the littler the banner flags, there's flags. Those are not gonna be on the sidewalk anymore. These light posts are gonna have a lot going
a
on.
lot of jobs.
Yeah.
Can I just chime in to the discussion about other small towns? For some reason, I've been on like an independence kick lately. But I love what they do because they wrap the light poles in the white lights.
Mhm.
And then they also have the white lights
Yeah.
from the light poles
Light
to the
poles to the
businesses.
businesses.
Because this is great for Christmas, but they like leave it up because it's also just cute,
Mhm.
right? Like it's still up and it's February. And now they have like little hearts on the poles because for Valentine's Day with the
Yeah.
lights too. So sorry, I'm going on a whole thing. But just to say that, I do like the white light for that reason, that it's not just a holiday thing. And I think that's maybe not the discussion we're having tonight, but if we can do some sort of like across the sidewalk lights.
Well, no, I think it
yeah,
can all go together.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I think that's the same idea.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I think that, I don't know how others feel, but your opinion of like, if we have a certain amount of funds and have to, you know, state that the consolidating to start is probably a good idea, because I think you're right. Currently, what we have is, let's try to gain, you know, let's go
Right.
as far as we
Right.
can. So you can include other businesses, and I do understand that aspect of it, but Marcia and I also talked about the potential for, you know, doing general fundraising here, and then trying to see if businesses were interested in having something down there and wanted to try to pool together, donate enough to have a couple down further,
Mhm.
you know, in the meantime, but until we can get to like actually putting some more down there.
yeah,
But you do have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's going to be funding to like really do the whole town. It's a long town.
Yeah, it is. And I do think like if you do a concentrated area and it feels very in the
Right.
spirit of the holidays, other businesses are gonna start to do it themselves, and then it can sort of,
Yeah.
you know, the funding will come because folks want to be a part of it.
Right. Well, oh, sorry, I was just gonna respond to that. I also think that, if you did have a consolidated area that you're driving through and you're getting that feeling that even if you do have some that
Yeah.
are spaced further, one per block,
Right.
further, even on one side, it's just gonna make it feel cohesive.
Right.
I don't think you're gonna be left with feeling like, well, we just drove through that area and there were a whole bunch and now there's nothing. I think you're just going to feel like, here we are kind of coming out of the main downtown core, but we still have it traveling, you know, through the community, I think. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for being here. Whenever I look at our Christmas lights, the few that are there, it reminds me of my childhood. And as old as I am, that's not necessarily a good thing. Not that long. But having said that, there may be people who want to buy them and put them in front of their own house. If they're, that might be cool for the use.
Of the old ones.
Yeah, the 9 that are still working. And the other thing is that I think from a fundraising perspective, this is one of those attractive projects that you, Christopher McMorran, could buy your very own light.
right,
And
right.
that could be the light you paid for. Or somebody, maybe the Causies wouldn't want to buy lights for a whole block.
Right. Or the,
Yeah.
you know, Starker Forest lights or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause that's like what the Pastega lights, they all have the little blue tags at the bottom. you know? Yeah,
Would it be odd to honor the lights that had been in Philomath for so long on like a side street or something, like in memory of, or I don't know, some way to like still have them be a
Like a
part?
few of them.
Yeah.
So some of them are still remaining.
I don't
We
know.
did-
no,
We talked about, so there's been a push to put some additional lighting. This is not in the downtown area, but it would add something to City Park. So they wanted, and we were looking at seeing if we can repurpose some of the lights that are being removed from downtown,
Mm.
the older decorative lights that are down there. We're seeing if maybe those could be moved to City Park, some of them to increase lighting, and then thought about that could be an option.
Mhm. And maybe there could be some information about you. Was it a local person that made them that you said?
Yeah.
Maybe there's
Mhm.
some,
And they were donated.
because like I didn't know that, but I would
Yeah.
appreciate them more knowing how long they've been used
Right.
and,
Yeah.
you know.
So that might be a
family making.
possibility, because it could be something that adds something additional somewhere that we don't
Mhm.
already have something, and then, so I'm not sure all of the feasibility, but that's been discussed as like
Yeah.
a good potential idea, to maybe keep a few of those
Mhm.
going.
I
And
do
we're gonna
like
call
that.
Marcia every year to check the lights. Because she volunteered.
Maybe when you put them in City Park, then it could be like a little Pastega thing. You could have,
Yeah.
communities could have their little light displays and people drive through there. I'm sure the park manager would love it.
Love that.
I do love that. I do love the idea of like also getting a little bit of it out of downtown too. Like just like we are, and I want to be clear, as a city councilor, I'm not complaining, but we are spending a lot of money on downtown. And I think it might also be good to spread the love to other parts of the city at some point.
Right, this, it could be a way that
Right,
it could
yeah,
add something to
Yeah.
another
yeah.
dark corner of the city that
right,
has no lights.
right,
during
yeah.
the winter. Great.
I guess my only question is like the park opens at dawn and closes at dusk. So is there a lot of point in having lights in it?
Maybe not.
Or we could change that.
Oh, lights, light. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
apparently it's been a big push. I
Okay,
don't,
I mean, because I feel like if there are lights, then we could keep it open later. It's just,
yeah,
I don't know why we're spending money to put lights in a place you're not allowed to go after the sunset.
security, I'm guessing.
Okay.
I don't,
Yeah.
maybe for the people that are going there after sunset, it shouldn't be. I was not part of that.
No, sorry, yeah,
That
we're
was
getting off track.
me.
Okay,
But
interesting.
yes, but somewhere, I think that could be.
Yeah.
A good idea. It is a good idea.
So I guess, are there other thoughts about like I mentioned, I like the wreaths. Are there other thoughts about sort of the types of lights or design?
I mean, for me, it would just be to be aware of secular, non-secular
Right.
symbols. And
Right.
making sure that we're recognizing that not everybody is a Christian, but the tradition of putting up lights and those things are actually
Right.
not even Christian.
Right,
And so just realizing that, I guess, in our community too, especially for youth.
yeah. No, and I had that same thought. I mean, and to be fair, like the tradition of putting up a wreath is not entirely Christian either.
No,
just
it's not,
sort of, you
no.
know,
Even the Christmas
adopted.
tree is not.
Right, yeah. So I guess depends on how far down that road we want to go. But I mean, because that's the, you know, Corvallis kind of beat us to the punch of like a nice white snowflake, like no one's gonna.
I know,
Complain
they're
about
like,
that.
Or, candy canes or,
Right, I think it's just like a snowflake.
A wreath is actually, I wouldn't be offended.
Okay. I think, yeah, then great.
But I used to know the history of it.
Right, yeah. I guess, so any other thoughts from about like,
I guess my thought with the wreath is, I would like it if it's like big,
right,
you know, like it feels
Yeah,
like
but the
it's
ones you put
taken
on a
up.
regular door. that's-
right,
No.
right.
And I'm
But so you're
assuming-
saying
I
like
think
these
they're
like 4
bigger.
feet?
Yeah, they're like,
Okay.
they make them
Yeah,
huge,
Okay.
actually.
And maybe
They
the
go-
lights that are on them are candy cane or a bow or a star. I don't know if they're, I mean, are there like lights on the wreath or is it just?
I mean, I
They're
think
just here,
Oh.
they're
these ones have.
Oh, I see, I
they're,
see.
like, lights in.
one shows the day and.
I see, yeah.
I would say the wreath ties back into Timbertown. because
Right, I mean, that was kind of,
Get out of.
right, it's like a tree-based product.
Yeah. I guess my only concern is wear and tear. Like
Right.
how is this gonna,
And that's
Fast.
kind of the.
what is it gonna look like in 10 years?
Right.
Sure.
You
Yeah,
get a lot of soot with the
The other-
logging trucks that come through and
It's
can you
hard to
hose
say.
them off?
Well, the other thing is what about the environmental impact of plastic pieces falling in the drainage system?
Hmm.
What is, I don't know what the environmental impact is on that.
I don't know. And I guess we,
Go to some of the website.
Yeah, let me
You
try
get
to do
this.
that. Okay.
I actually like the little.
So
Christmas
do they have
tree.
like just LED reads, so they don't have to be the?
Maybe, I didn't see any on those sites, but that does not mean that they don't have them.
I don't know.
These websites are, they're a little
I made
unusual.
a man-eating wreath from.
Sorry for my email here.
From what?
everyone read. Chelsea's
Nightmare for
I
Christmas.
know,
has a wreath that goes on top of it.
It's not on the same meeting though.
Okay.
I remember that. I remember from their Zoom calls. The big
Oh, my
stuff
nightmare.
behind you.
You can see like billions of.
I even have Jack in his sense. The billion, yeah.
Yeah, my email, that's like ridiculous right now. Okay, just gonna keep this so it doesn't make me sad.
These look very traditional. to
Yeah,
me.
the tinsel, I'm not a huge
So,
fan of.
yeah,
I think
so
they're gonna wear
Marcia's point about the tinsel, and I think the discussion that came up, or any of these that show in the day, the discussion was. The previous discussions were related to. You know, that you can see those in the day and still see what they are, so I think. that's maybe why people go toward those, but I do also know that the ones that we currently have are like, I think they're like this tinsel, right, Marcia?
Mhm.
And they do wear. I mean,
Mm.
those have been around for a long time. The previous city I was in had this same style for a long time. Same issues. I was talking to Marcia about it. It was like, oh yeah, every city apparently is having the same exact issue. The light bulbs and the people who go through them all. And so yes, I think that they may deteriorate. On the flip side, I also think that
Again, do you know, like, because if we're paying like $800 for it, I'm assuming it's not like the same type of tinsel you get at like the dollar store.
and I would hope not. No, I
Right,
think it's more durable. than
Okay,
that. Yeah,
okay,
it's
so like,
thicker.
so just to frame that for us, like, we're not talking about just like, you know, the
Yeah.
little tinsel you put on your
Right.
tree, I hope.
Right.
Should maybe verify that.
No, I mean, if you have a 5 foot, just imagine that bell
Right,
is,
okay.
you know,
yeah,
5 feet or 4
Yeah.
feet. It's pretty substantial.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, some of it is that, and if you have something really, really obscure, like the candle with, the flower there, in the day, you might not look at
right,
that and be obvious.
even at night.
If it were a candy cane, right? If it were a candy cane or something, you're probably going to recognize that more, right? Just because of
Yeah,
the shape of it.
yeah.
So there is some of that.
Speaking,
Speaking of candy canes. there are some
Mhm.
candy canes.
I like the boot with the candy.
I
Mhm.
know, there you go. Well, if we really had gone with the western theme
Right,
downtown that was
right.
proposed at one point,
Oh, wow.
that would definitely be something.
I do like the snowflakes.
They
I
do
think
have
they're
those
really
illuminated wreaths on the middle link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're, yeah, 40 to, 600 bucks.
So, and I think what you'd have to consider is how they connect to the pole. And like a wreath would potentially be hanging out there on the. Would it hang here? It would be under the light. Would it,
Mm.
this looks like a block out here, but if it's hanging here, the pole is gonna support it a little bit.
Yeah, so the wreaths, some of them can hang like on the front of the pole, so if you were driving, it would actually, the
Right,
pole
right.
would be
Mm.
through the center, and some of them have the brackets. I believe Marcia was talking about that can be on the side, and yeah, we do have to consider, of course, like light. We still need to be able to have the light function and do its job, and so placement wise, that's going to have to be taken into consideration by whoever's actually placing them and making that determination.
I really like that wreath. That's pretty.
The one with the gold.
Yeah,
I kind of like that too.
it's of course $888 on sale.
Yeah, most all of these
Right.
go on sale in like January, February, so
Oh, right.
our
Now's the time to.
so it would be, so the hope is that maybe next January, February, we would be ready to purchase them and then get them ordered,
2020.
delivered, and then
So
when the
by the time,
project
yeah.
is done, we should be able to get them up for the 2024
Just
when
in
the
time for
project
my council term to end.
Sensi, but maybe you'll get to go though.
Okay, good.
Yeah, to the downtown. You can go anyway, of course. Right? Maybe you'll remain on the
Well,
council.
that's too far off to work.
It is very far up.
So I don't know how long, Nancy, you and Jen have been here. Did you see the old ones that we used to have? I did find some pictures that I did take.
Oh, from downtown.
And there was like blue lights. You haven't seen them.
The ones from downtown?
Yeah.
I've seen them,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
But I mean, so it was blue lights. I don't know if you guys could, they were hanging in towards the businesses. And then,
You're talking about the snowman and,
yes, this is
Yeah.
a trumpet. And then this is the poinsettia, but so the blue lights went down and they were mixed in with a garland thing and.
is it like greenery garland or like red garland? Like tinsel
Greenery
garland,
garland.
green.
But it looks very sloppy.
Sure. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
It is hard to do.
It is.
Because you can't attach it to the
You can't
metal
attach it.
poles,
Mhm.
So it's just gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh.
the wood could be different just because
Right.
I think they might hold it better in their square.
Yeah,
But yeah, and again, that could be, yeah, I think there's potential. I do think with the project that it would be really nice if during, you know, the winter holiday season that the downtown area looks like something you want to come to and walk around, you know?
Mhm.
and I think all of these are good ideas for how to add to that. This website, is this the one? I think it is, yeah, I get catalogs from this company all the time. So they have a lot of different things. You can see the prices. I mean, I did put. They do vary, some of them.
Yeah.
And some of them that you see are really large versions and they might have a smaller version.
Right.
I probably should like share this.
That's okay. I just
Actually,
can't
sure.
read the prices.
Oh, yeah,
Some of them have good sales. I mean, they'll be on sale for
Right.
600, but normally they're 1200.
Right.
Sure.
So there's,
and some of them are more affordable. It just depends on the size. Like this one is $298. It's oh, see, it's only 3.5 feet though. So, it's,
yeah.
you know, if you get it
Yeah.
up there, it might not.
And you said the light poles are 18 feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it does. say
Oh, yeah,
that
there
right
is a wreath
so I'm
there.
like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, cool.
I like the reindeer. It's fun.
Down here.
Yeah, the white one.
Mhm.
Some look almost pixelated, like it's hard to know
Yeah.
how the LED lights are gonna translate, right?
Right.
Because in a photo,
Right.
it's hard to
Right.
tell, like,
Oh, I couldn't tell with the lazy penguin.
oh boy, yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, see, if you had that in the
Let's
day, you
not do
might really
that.
wonder what
Yeah.
that is.
I don't even know what he's doing.
The other thought too is that I don't know if this bugs you as much as me. But that white LED light versus the warm white
Mhm.
LED lights, that's something to think about because if you do have like businesses downtown that are using
Do you know what
warm,
color temperature the streetlights will be?
we've asked them to be as warm as possible.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that's another factor.
Right, because it might be good to try to match that.
But you know, it doesn't have to be these exact ones. Like I said, a lot of these companies make really similar decorations. So
Right.
if there were a general direction, and again, we're not here to make like an ultimate decision.
Right.
It's just kind of bringing up the concept, getting feedback. I think we got good feedback about, let's try to focus and have at least 4 per block. And I mean, you know, if you had 3 on each side on each block in even like a 3-block area, if you could afford to do that and make that happen, that would be really cool. I think it would look really showy.
Mhm.
I don't know, you know, I remember I've driven through Corvallis and recognized that their lights felt very, like there's an Albany has a really cute downtown area too.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I'm not sure how many they have, but we could reach out to them too, even though they're not up. We could
Yeah.
reach out and ask them.
Do you guys think they should be all the same or different? Like a couple different types or all the same?
I think they should be different.
Hmm.
Not that, maybe not everyone, but.
Have
Not,
a few different.
I feel like they should look like they were designed by the same person.
If they go together.
Yeah.
Like they look like they're a family. but
Like
they
those
can be
two.
different.
Like if you did the ornaments. the
Yeah.
bells,
Right,
those look
I could
like
do
they go
that,
together.
Yes.
Or like a
But if
green
you were
wreath,
to,
you know.
Yeah, you don't want to mix the tinsel and then just the
Right,
lights.
right.
right.
I would say if we're doing different ones though, too, I'd say we want to have some mirroring. If
Yes,
you're going
I
down the
agree.
street, you have the wreaths on opposite sides of the
Right.
road, and then you have the.
Right.
I will say
Regular
one thing
opposite
about
sides,
that,
yeah.
when you look at this, that's
Okay.
going to be very hard to
They're
do.
not.
Well, that's why I think we want to,
No.
maybe it's not every block though. I mean, maybe you do it at the corners. and
Right, that's what I
Sure.
was- yeah,
Really small blocks. And
Yeah.
right,
We
right.
do.
Um,
But yeah, just keep in mind that when you look at the, like, it does seem sporadic, but if you look at like the corner of 12th and Main, you can see that it looks like the light posts are not on the corners. They're not. That's not just me being sloppy when I put the dots. Like if you look at the plan, you can see that like on this picture here, this is 8th Street. You can pass it around, we can look at it. That's an example. So the pink highlighted are lights, the yellow are lights too, but they're in that area, they're moved and replaced by the pink ones. So you can kind of see, like, when you look at up close, they're not.
Well, maybe you
You know.
try and choose ones that are intentionally like
Right.
Sure.
staggered so
Yeah.
that if they're not, if they're like slightly cut off, it would feel.
You know, at this size, it doesn't look like there's nearly as many.
It doesn't, does it? Yeah, it was pretty, but again, the dot size on this is very large.
Right.
Takes
Do
up
you
a
know
lot of
what,
space.
do you know what the total number of lights is?
I could tell you that.
That's okay.
It's like, I wanna say 80 something,
Wow.
Wow.
maybe,
Was there
Well,
another link that had
yes.
the snowflakes that I wasn't supposed to like, that I did?
You can't
I
because
just-
for Val's.
I know, I didn't realize, but is there,
Can we just get difference?
yeah, is there a different
Presidential snowflake.
or bigger ones? Like,
I guess we could, I'm a little partial to doing like a wreath or tree type thing just to keep the Timber Town
Timbertown, yeah.
theme going, but I do like snowflakes.
Was this where you thought they were?
maybe, I think, I don't know,
There's a lot of-
Probably.
A lot of snowflakes here.
probably.
In all honesty, I think they're buying them from the same companies.
I know,
They just all
they-
just
Right, that's probably true.
They look really.
They
Yeah,
look
these are
awful
probably
good.
the ones I was looking at,
Okay.
the real simple ones. But
So yeah, the snowflakes seem nice because, and you could do different ones, right? There are
could,
ones that
yeah.
look like they go together.
I guess I was thinking like, how much is the wreath gonna be seen in the dark? But maybe there's some opportunity to do wreath, like X amount of wreaths and X amount of lit. Can they live together and look good? I don't know. It's just, if you could do, because it's a lot.
I mean,
of
that could be a way if you did
potentially.
like reeds on the corners or something and then did.
There's value in looking
Stuff
at
like
some of these
everything.
other towns to see if we like the feel because, oh, they used all the same.
Yeah,
Or, oh, that looked like mishmash, because they had the different ones.
exactly. It's hard to tell from photos because it's usually just one.
Right.
It's almost like you have to go there during the holidays to experience it. I mean, obviously the ones like the photo you showed where the lights are going across the
Right.
street and wrapping around the pole so nicely, like they photographs well,
Right,
and it
right.
looks.
Well, I mean, that tree one's only 11,000, so, you know.
Oh,
Oh my God.
It's Timbertown right there.
Yeah.
let's do it.
11,000 Timbertown.
Which
Oh,
one?
it's the whole
tree right
It's
here.
the whole tree. It's 28%.
It's like it's a giant tree.
Oh,
So if you wondered how much it would cost for us to get
There you go.
whole trees.
The whole tree, but we can provide the tree. We just need
Yeah.
someone with the time and skill to wrap it.
Right.
Also, this meeting's supposed to end at 7, is that right?
Hmm.
Okay.
5:30, yeah, 6:30,
And
whenever you
just
want to end
because
it.
Corvallis has snowflakes doesn't mean we can't do them.
Right,
Yeah, well, you know,
it just,
I guess I'm saying it, we could have one or two in the. If we went with the diverse route, but
That is an expensive angel. $1,500. Wow.
wow, yeah, some
Oh,
of these
wow.
are amazing.
yeah, some of them are quite expensive. So the feedback that I've most heard is keeping it cohesive somehow.
Somehow.
I would expect that feedback from people.
Yeah.
And trying to get kind of the most we can in the downtown core area, between whatever area we think we can. I think Chris and I looked at it and he marked out like 14th through 11th.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of the project is focused, and then, but doing them on both sides, that's the other factor is right now they're only on Main Street. And we're proposing that they would be on both sides,
Mhm.
so that when
Yeah.
people are coming from the other direction, they
Yeah.
can also see that we
On
have,
Applegate, right?
yeah,
that we have some holiday spirit going on, or just winter spirit.
just to confirm something, so the lights that have some kind of tinsel, those are visible during the day, but the ones that don't are kind of not.
Less.
They're just like a little harder to figure out during the day.
Okay.
I'm thinking that some of them, the newer lights, like they might paint the metal,
Hmm,
you know, so like a snowflake. I'm trying to visualize Corvallis when I'm driving through there. Do I notice it? Not as much, but is it painted? Maybe we can go see their lights.
Yeah, I know, it might be worth it because,
Future.
especially because they are white.
Right,
It would be
right,
kind of an
right.
interesting field trip to see what's going on. Yeah, what do you think? So Marcia, for you, I mean, I do think we kind of have a good idea of generally how many we should try to look for funding for.
Yeah.
I think we're probably, talking to Chris, we'll probably try to put some money in budget or see what the council's interested is in some grant funding toward the project.
I am big on like, I think we should definitely also talk to like the chamber and the downtown businesses, just because this will directly benefit them. So it'd be nice if they could.
Yeah, or maybe like
Chip
a
some-
survey. I mean, I could see if we could get
Right.
a little more focus, maybe.
Yeah.
Like a survey might be nice with an other, if you want to say other things, but
Right.
that might be a good, yeah, and are there other things they're interested in? I mean, what if they're thinking about doing something and then we do all this and they're like, oh, we've been planning to do all of these
Right.
decorations with all of our businesses and it looks not great, but. So yeah, I do think at some point it's hard because the downtown business association is not as functional anymore.
No.
So it is with the
Yeah.
chamber would be the next option, but yeah, I think that definitely the conversation at some point should go there.
See, I'd almost want to go to the chamber once we sort of have kind of pick something out and have a dollar figure
2%, yeah,
and say, well, it could be anywhere from $400 to $800,
yeah,
you know, which doubles the budget if you're
Right.
doing the $800 one. And would your business be willing to write a check?
right, gotcha.
I don't know if this person exists, but like the amount of money we're talking about. Can you hire somebody to build what you actually want? Like if folks want things that are specific to this area, I don't know, in the holiday spirit. I know it has to be safe and it has to not damage or endanger the community anyway, but I mean, it's a lot of money and I
It
just
is, yeah.
I think that you'd probably run into it being more money
really,
if
okay,
you had something kind of custom done, but I don't know. And again, yes, I think it would have to be someone who
does it.
had to work with electrical
Yeah, it's not
fixtures
their
and stuff,
first
right?
time.
Right, so I don't know the answer to that. I mean, it's possible. I've not heard of that route with other cities that I know
Okay.
have done this, but that does
Alright.
not mean that it's an option. You know,
Yeah.
that's how the current ones were made,
Yeah,
so, you know. And I have no idea what process that went through to choose them, but yeah, it might be a
Okay.
possibility. Okay, so also it sounds like maybe Marcia, if you can reach out to some city, Corvallis, or if there's a smaller city that you can think about that might have small city input.
Toledo does a good job of like
Oh, really?
flower baskets. So I don't know. I would
It
think
might do. I know the
We could talk.
city
to-
recorder in Toledo really
Okay.
well. I can ask her.
We could try talking to Independence too. If you want.
Yeah, Independence has been really
They got their.
focusing on
Yeah,
the downtown.
it looks.
I would say we've gone there.
Yeah.
Because of that, they
No, it's
started building up things.
Yeah. So if they have some too, they would be a good community.
that mayor came and talked to the downtown association
Oh,
many
really?
years ago
Okay,
about what they had done and to
Yeah.
bring stuff
Yeah.
in and how they
Yeah.
did their parts. I don't know if he's still them there,
Maybe.
but he was great.
I know the
Yeah.
public works director there too.
Okay.
I can reach out to him.
granted, their streetlights are uniform,
Yeah,
so that's good for them.
and that may end up how the choose to go to, it's hard to say.
No, I mean, like the actual.
Oh,
pole.
their uniform, yes.
Yeah, you know,
They are.
yeah,
But we are, you know,
we're fun and funky.
Mhm.
we're free.
Yeah.
You lean into it.
Right,
you know,
right,
and
yeah.
Choose, yeah, staggers.
I think it'll still look really great.
Yeah, I
mean,
think
it
it'll
will
look great.
depend on,
Exactly.
yeah, I think it'll.
Feel
look
like a
great.
zipper.
There you go.
Mhm.
When you're driving, you
There.
can't really see both, so if they're
Right.
staggered, it.
Yeah,
It's unique, it's
It's all
not,
about the past.
that's Philomath. Philomath is a unique community, so I think it goes with it. Okay. So we can reach out and see about that. And then, Marcia, what do you think the next steps would be to help? Like, do you want to narrow it down? I can help with that, like narrowing down on the feedback here on some options that seem like I mean, we had a few different options. People like the snowflakes, but we don't want to copy Corvallis. I don't,
Well, I think it would be hard to go ask for money unless we
Right.
know what we're doing.
right,
Right.
I
exactly,
mean, I'm willing to knock on, not everybody's door, but some doors.
right.
And I'm willing to write a check for
Mhm.
some too, but.
Yeah. I guess could we try to maybe schedule another committee meeting in a couple weeks, hopefully with more people?
Maybe not.
I wonder if we could maybe each of us pick a light so that we just have some to choose from instead of.
Like reference would be good. I've heard the reads that's potentially either with the actual greenery or maybe just a wreath that doesn't have greenery, so we could look for some options on both of those to have better options. Is there anything else that anyone particularly theme wise that really would like to see more options in that theme?
I think what would align with Timbertown. Oh, that's the only problem.
Right, and so that's part of it. I mean, and there really is do you lean in and go with that? I think there's nothing. Well, there are things that would not go with Timbertown, but I don't think we're going to
I
pick
guess-
those because.
Yeah, I mean, I also just kind of like the idea of like Christmas tree. I mean, also just we're like the top Christmas tree producing place in the world. So I feel like it's kind of cute for us to lean into that too.
Trees.
Yeah, like just,
Okay.
and we want to keep it. I mean, even though I know, as we discussed, Christmas trees are not originally Christian, but it could also just be like a green tree.
Yeah,
Right, and
we
then
can look
it's
at
not
trees,
even-
and there also might be like white trees.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
true,
honestly,
yeah.
If
Facts.
we can focus. and
Right,
look
right,
for those
right.
a little more, we might be able to
Yeah.
find that too.
And I think I would think, not the North Star, that kind of, I think
Right.
that symbolism, but a star.
A star.
Right,
Not, yeah, not but those are.
like that
sort
kind of
I
a
think,
star.
Yeah, they have
secular.
plain and they have the stars with
And
like,
they're clean
continual-
and they're like a snowflake, but
like a shooting star. They have.
Yeah.
those.
Yeah,
If we're trying to think of what could be
Not that one.
like
it's
a
$1,500.
snowflake, but not.
Mhm.
Right. Okay, stars.
Yeah.
Ruth, did you have anything in particular that spoke to you?
I know Christopher also mentioned that presidential snowflake is really pretty.
Oh, this one,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay, and we could try to get a better feel for what Corvallis does have because.
so we know what not to do.
Yeah, like we wouldn't want to pick the same exact.
You're right.
I'm on
Or,
leadership Corvallis's committee, so I can see if anybody
Okay.
has any pictures or
that
whatever.
would be great,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And the
think-
other thing is, if you are going to mix, like, if you were interested in trying to mix a couple things. That you
Right.
may be able to do a few of those, and it's not like we're doing the whole entire downtown and all a snowflake, just.
The pole mount wreath there.
This one with the red.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah,
pretty.
it is.
Yeah, and we can look at the reads too and see what other options there are, because there are probably varying options with like, this one has like red, there are probably ones that have silver
Oh.
with silver bow,
Yeah.
there's
I think
probably-
something we need to realize too is these are also gonna have downlight,
Right.
so like, I think my wreath looks stupid with, because it's got like few lights around it and at night you can't tell it's a wreath anymore.
Mhm.
But I think on this one, it would look fine because you're gonna have the down lighting on.
I
it.
don't know if they can be under the light. I think currently, are they on the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the
Oh,
sidewalk side. See, I
okay.
don't know that you can't block the,
Are the lights not shining onto the
Lights.
sidewalk?
no, they're street lights.
So the sidewalk is just gonna be completely.
So these are gonna be on the
It lights it up.
sidewalk.
I mean, the way that they are, it's just like,
Right.
if you
okay,
walk
all right,
downtown
okay.
now with an existing light, they're facing out, but they light
Right,
up the
okay.
whole area.
Oh, that'll be interesting. But I mean, it'll still get spilled.
Yeah,
You'll still have spill on it.
Or if you had them mounted on the pole, they would receive more light from the pole, from the light coming down.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. sorry,
Yeah,
lighting
if they
curve.
weren't
You
on
get spill of the light from it,
Sure.
that's not where you need it to be.
I was just gonna say, like, I am responding more to the materials of how it's made than what it actually is. Like, I know what I don't like I don't like the tinsel stuff. I don't like when it looks pixelated and like digitally,
Mhm.
like you can still tell what it is, but there's something about it that doesn't feel warm and
yeah, right.
holiday like.
right. So like, would you describe this as tinsel?
No,
Okay.
no.
I know what you're saying, like
Yeah.
the vintage look.
Yeah, like
That's
if you,
really what
if you
they
go
are.
back to
Right.
the page before this,
Like
before you
the
clicked on it, it had like a
Like the
good,
candles.
it had a good mix of like very random looking things. And
Like
so,
that garland snowflake.
Yeah, like
Like
bells.
this is.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
so that's not doing it for me.
I agree.
Yeah, these are meant,
but-
these are meant to look.
But I'm
like-
not against a bell
Brings
if
back
it
the
was
family.
like
Right.
built in a
sure,
different
sure,
way.
sure.
So maybe we can also start to think about just like the materials used and sort of, what brings the most holiday spirit, I guess.
So what I'm kind of hearing is if it were kind of from everyone, if it were wreath, that having that material seems like it makes sense and
Mhm.
but if it were a different type of thing, maybe not having,
Yeah,
but that you also are kind of leaning toward not picking something so obscure that if you did see it in the day and it weren't tinsel, that you're still going to be able to see like, oh, I can see that that's a star or a tree outline and that it won't look really obscure. We're
Needs to
not
be
gonna put the
legible during the
penguin,
day.
the penguin that's falling down. That's-
But I like what Ruth liked the boot with the,
Yeah.
it's like fun and playful, and so
Okay.
we put those on the street from Applegate to the rodeo ground.
Yes.
there you go. That would be fun.
Extended our project.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so yeah, we can come back to
rodeo
a meeting. Yeah.
You want a boot with it.
So I guess for you two, is that enough? So I mean, we'll meet again and we
Yeah.
can raise more people, but I just don't want you leaving here more confused than you came. It's,
How confused was I when
I don't know, you tell me. But I get just like, is that enough sort of direction for now? And then we can keep going in a little bit, or do you have any other questions for the committee?
My question would be, does the idea of the project excite you?
Yes.
Because if it doesn't, I mean, you guys should be ones that would be
Yeah,
almost as excited as me.
right. It excites me. It makes me a little nervous just because I feel like if we screw it up, like this is something the community really does love. And I think,
Who picked out that?
right,
Yeah.
I just can see the Facebook posts already.
Sure,
But
but I think
so that, I think it just, we need to
Like you
like
said,
be
getting
thoughtful
the,
and
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
coming up with focusing a little. because
Yeah.
It's not a good idea to say, hey, everyone, go to all these websites and we would never get anywhere.
Yeah,
So we're trying, what we're trying to do is like,
Right.
let's focus it down and look at some, more specific options.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I can talk to Chris about what he thinks the next step should be. and We
Okay.
can discuss that, whatever, but yes, Marcia, I think people are excited and Marcia really is looking for help
okay,
at this point. Right now, she's kind of the main champion of the project.
Or maybe the only one.
I don't know. I will say though, I think Dale was one of the people that was really into the nostalgia of the decorations of the last conversation. And this time he was like, Yep, they're worn out. They are,
Okay.
they are dying
time to go.
and dropping
Yeah.
like flies. So,
Yeah, okay,
even Dale, who, they are nostalgic and they remind a lot of people of, like
Right.
you were saying, Ruth, of
Yeah.
the decorations that you saw.
They're the same way.
They probably may be, so, yes, yeah.
I wonder if the one last thing is when we're thinking about, because we're gonna have, like, it sounds like we're gonna roll this out in tiers. Like
Mhm.
1 year we'll get this much, or next year with this much, try to
Mhm.
build it up. Thinking about also the foot traffic that would want to do it at an evening, so like, where would people be walking in the
Right.
evening,
Mhm.
restaurants and that kind of stuff, maybe they get a priority,
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, like areas that actually
right,
have something going on.
Have a foot traffic.
Right.
Or not just a giant lawn where no one is.
Right.
And that actually argues for Main Street over Applegate in the west.
that's true,
Because
Yeah.
there's not a lot going on this side, there's more foot
Sure.
traffic on that side, so we are gonna prioritize in a limit, but also with this is phase one, the other
Right.
thing we can
Yeah.
reemphasize for this side of the street.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to kind of build on it and, but we'll have to look at what direction we go, how much they are, how much we think we can get at one time.
Just my last thought is if you do want to take it to the public to get feedback, give like 3 concise
Yeah.
directions.
Yeah.
yeah,
And so then, I mean,
Right.
I don't know if this is how it's gonna get voted in,
Yeah,
but
I
if
don't
it
know.
does get voted in by the community, then
right,
there's no one to blame. But
which is nice, it's nice.
I mean, that's a good point. How is that decision made?
I know,
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Will it go down on my gravestone? I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know how
that's-
you access everybody.
We'll have to look at that.
No,
and
we'll
see
put a
what-
wreath up in the center of town.
Yeah, but yes, I think, that it is really, it's a very out there project. It's, people are, I'm sure the council will want to have
Yeah.
a discussion about it at some point. So, yeah.
I'm sure
Try
this
to get it.
committee could recommend
Yep.
that it go to a survey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think,
think
why
we can
not?
post on, the things over at.
Right,
Whatever, and say, hey, what do you guys think about,
yeah,
I'm not a part of anything other than this, I'm like, not official for anything.
sure. Yeah, after.
You guys can.
Hopefully the next meeting, we could kind of
narrow it down.
narrow it
Yeah.
down and come up with what we think is more of a plan and maybe, I'm not against, I don't know that you're gonna say, do this, and then Marcia's going to go, get a bunch of money and buy that. I don't think that's the way the process will go, but we do wanna try to move it along and see if we can try to get
Yeah.
an idea because the fundraising
Right.
would be great to be able to purchase them during that next, in a year,
Yeah,
so.
and I think Marcia's also completely right that it's a lot easier and better to do the fundraising when it's like, this is the specific project
This
plan
is
that
what
we are
we are
fundraising for.
looking
It's
to do.
already like, I mean, it's the same thing with us going to the state asking for money, right? Like, if you're like, here are the blueprints.
Yeah.
Here's how much it costs. Whenever you give us the money, we'll start doing it. They're like, sure. Whereas if we're like, we have a cool vibey
General
idea.
idea.
Then they're like, no, we're not. So, yeah.
But I also like the idea that you could sponsor one.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, this is
Right.
what I want Starker to
Right,
represent is
right.
this bell or boot with a candy cane or something. I don't know. That would be a way to.
I'm worried that could get a little too eclectic then.
Oh, but the designs have
after you
already been
Oh, like out of-
predetermined.
Sorry. Okay, I thought you were on the website, and they're like this one, and I was like,
They get a pick from
right,
the.
right, we have like,
chosen one.
yeah, we have like a few options.
Yeah.
They-
Although,
well, that's true.
It's like buying a brick. That's
Right,
They're just
exactly,
sponsor run. People, they sponsor the flower baskets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I want to sponsor a flower
Yeah.
basket.
Well,
It can be similar to that.
right.
You're not, I'm
You
not,
don't choose
I
the
don't get to go
flowers.
out there and say, I want that flower basket. and I
Right,
want
I
it
see.
in front of my business. They just, and it's worked really well, that people, they donate that and my family sponsored a flower basket this year. I have no idea. I just pretend like that's the flower basket I like. That's the one I sponsored. So these could be similar where
Yeah.
it's the idea of this is where they will go.
Mhm.
And so you're helping light up this area,
And especially the businesses, I'm sorry, Marcia, that'll benefit from if we do the foot traffic.
Yeah, right.
idea too, they should be sponsoring, because we're gonna
Yeah,
help
it'd be
build
great if they
business
can.
Yeah, in the winter, especially when they don't get a lot of foot traffic.
Sure.
Well, and Chris mentioned the Pastega light display. I mean, that's one of my regular things. I go through multiple times. And I read everybody who either sponsors or maintains that stuff. Maybe somehow we could put a little sign on that light or, that sponsored by.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't know if that's a problem. We can find out, but
We can,
I think it might also like. Yeah, I don't think it's, I mean, I guess it also like, is the city would own these?
yes.
Okay.
I
Then
believe
you get to store them.
someone has to own them.
Right, right.
And currently, we apparently own, we don't actually accept ownership for them, but
Sure,
we
because
store
nobody
them.
does, yeah.
So, yeah,
You're right, okay.
I'm not sure if they were actually donated to.
Okay,
But
okay,
we do
gotcha.
have possession of them. Yeah. Yep. And the other flip side is to Pioneer's been graciously putting them up.
Yeah,
And so we're also going to need to have a conversation with
Right.
Pioneer because if they've been putting up, a few.
Mhm.
And now they're like, hey, so we planned to have a conversation with them, see if they're still going to be able to do that,
okay,
if there's any thing we need to keep in mind about that.
okay,
But I think when we're to a point where we're ready to maybe go to the public with a survey, we should first go to the chamber. and
yeah,
get Their
Okay.
input and
Get some
then
feedback,
yeah,
throw it out there.
sure.
I think that makes sense.
Junction City, that's another good one.
Oh,
Junction City, okay.
okay,
I think I remember, yeah, they had some stuff on.
okay, cool. Any final thoughts for the good of the order? Then should we talk about really quick next meeting, like just in a month? Is this time okay for people? Okay. So what that would be, oh, right, it's February, so that'd be March 8th.
Pay attention on that date and get
Okay.
back to them.
Okay, sure. Good stuff. Anything else?
Are you gonna be gone, Marcia?
Uh-oh,
It's okay if you are. I can
When was
handle
it? Did you
March
say?
March
8th.
8th. I was just doing a month from today, but we
Okay,
don't
here.
have to.
No, I'm not gone. I think I have another meeting that night. but
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
That's all right, we'll look at.
We can, yeah, we
dates
can
and
follow.
programs.
We
Okay,
can meet without me.
We can meet without
we would be
Marcia.
heartbroken.
Yeah. You were the
Good
special
try.
guest.
But thank you for letting me attend to that.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for working on this so hard. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then it is 6:48 PM on Wednesday, February 8th. And I will adjourn the